Hi, everybody. So last year was my very first Burning Man, and there aren't any words to really describe my experience, but I learned so much that I took back to my own local community. And so one of the familiar faces that I actually had a chance to meet on the Playa was Russell, a 17-foot tall robotic rideable giraffe. And so those of you who know Russell know him well, and his maker, Lindsay. Lindsay wanted to create Russell because he had this grand idea for how to get a better view of the Playa from up above. So the last time that I actually saw Russell and Lindsay was in Washington, D.C., where he had a chance to meet President Obama. I was part of the team at the White House that helped to plan the first White House Maker Faire. And so that's where I first met Lindsay and Russell. And while I was at the White House for the past 2 years, I actually worked on helping to develop the President's Nation of Makers initiative, which is all about supporting and celebrating makers and the role that they're having in innovation. So the President just announced a National Week of Making to take place later this year to celebrate makers like this group of girls from Pittsburgh who, after a 17-year-old was killed in the park where they play, prototyped a functional solution to make their park safer. Makers like Public Lab, who are geographically distributed, and they're working on low-cost, open-source tools for environmental monitoring. This is a balloon mapping kit that can identify the degradation of areas affected by natural disasters. Makers like Lamore Freed, who wanted to bring the joy of electronics to others, so she created this company. And by the way, her electronics are really great for your Playa apparel, which I have personal experience with. Makers like Emily Pillotone, who traveled to Bertie County, North Carolina. She's an architect by training. She worked with high school students there. Bertie County is one of the highest poverty areas of the country. They built this beautiful 2,000-foot farmer's market. And an AS220 in Providence, Rhode Island, an artist and maker collective, they single-handedly revitalized downtown Providence, which was really rifled by drug-related gang violence. In LA, there's the LA Makerspace, which is really focused on equity in terms of bringing these hands-on learning experiences to students of all backgrounds. They're working with the public library system there. And in Detroit. So Jeff here actually created a makerspace in the basement of a church. So it's the Church of the Messiah, and it's serving very specific community needs. They have a bike shop down there where folks can fix their bikes. Some of them have primarily, that's their form of transportation. And then in Anchorage, Alaska, making can be a way to preserve cultural traditions and create new ones. So these Alaskan and Native American youth are learning how to traditionally make sleds and then use laser cutters to create a more modern version. Globally, makers are becoming interconnected. This is a network of over 500 Fab Labs. There's even one that's going to be floating up and down the Amazon soon. And the Enable organization is actually working to connect individuals who want to develop low-cost, open-source 3D printed prosthetics, like the hand that 8-year-old Jasmine has. And we know there are some amazing things happening in the burner community, right? So we have Burners Without Borders, and then also organic innovation that's coming out of camps that are having real applications outside of the Playa. So then the real question is, how can we bring our experiences on the Playa back to our local communities to empower others to be creative, put ideas into action, and make our communities a better place? So some ideas. One is to share your story. I think there's a lot of wonderful things that we know about happening in the burner community, but maybe not necessarily people outside of the burner community knowing what burners are doing. Volunteer as a maker in residence, collaborate with other like-minded communities. One way to start is National Week of Making. That's going to be June 17th through the 23rd, a great way to sort of test run ideas for things we might be doing on the Playa. And then I just wanted to leave you with some words from the man of the hour, since Da Vinci's Workshop is our theme for this year. I've been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Being willing is not enough. We must do. Thank you.